the corporate world and opened my own business, and that's what I've been doing the last a little over 10 years now. So when you own your own business, you know, you're scrubbing toilets, you're the CEO, you're making the management decisions, you're doing everything in between. And I'm really proud of what I've been able to grow. The first 8 years of my business ownership, I was actually in South Austin, so I was doing that commute back and forth. And decided in 2016, I wanted to live my dream, which was living and working in my same community. And so in 2016, I moved my business north and was immediately able to get involved in my community. When the kids were little, I was very involved with their schools, and then it was about me and what I wanted to do. So I joined the chamber, went through leadership in Leander because I really wanted to get to know the community, and I wanted to know what was here. I really enjoyed my time with the chamber, became vice chair this past year. I've also served my city through the Planning and Zoning Commission. Everything I found that I was doing, I felt like I was doing things with the city more and more, so I wanted to make it official. I went through that interview process and was selected by City Council to serve on Planning and Zoning Commission, and also serving on our Economic Development Committee, which is a joint committee between the city and the Leander Chamber. Lots of other things I've been involved in, but those are just a few that I think lend me to being the best candidate for this position on City Council. Talking a little bit about these questions, the Cap Metro questions, and a lot of these things I think you're going to find we do have similar views on. What's the position on the economic development with Cap Metro? The decision was made a long time ago. And I do think that there's a lot of information for us as candidates that we still need to know of what the cost really would be to get out. I do know that as the rail was created, agreements were made with ACC and St. David's. So it's a matter of looking at those things, and if the citizens did want to bring it to vote and did want to get out, what are those consequences? And how does it play out in the future? I think there's a lot to be found out. Would I love to be able to take the train downtown for dinner on a Saturday night? Absolutely. So I think there's some investigating that needs to be done there. I was really excited to hear that Cap Metro, the CEO, will be at the City Council meeting on Thursday night. So I'm hoping some questions will be raised and we'll get to talk a little bit more directly about what's going on there in that partnership, because I do think it can be a really good partnership. I just think there's a lot of unknowns out there that we need to figure out and how we can make it a good partnership moving forward. Lack of transparency. To the points that have been made, there is an opportunity to get involved with the city. Everything's posted on the city website where people can get involved. Can come to city council meetings, can come to planning and zoning commissions, along with the historical and the library and a million other things. It would be great to have our citizens more involved. So I'm not exactly sure what this is directing, if there's a particular instance that's happened that does need to be addressed. But I think it's a two-way street. It is making sure that we are and as developers come in, that everything is posted accordingly so that citizens that are going to be directly affected do have the opportunity to bring their point of view for or against to be considered by council. And at the same time, I think it's the duty of our citizens in Leander to be involved and to ask the hard questions. They do need to be asked, absolutely. Commercial development and zoning and building codes. Leander's grown very fast in a short period of time. I think we can all agree to that. And as I've talked to city staff and as I've seen things being proposed to planning and zoning and council, there are things that can be streamlined, and that's part of the process that I would really like to be involved with. But our city staff is working on things. As a matter of fact, planning and zoning approved this past Thursday for one of the processes to give developers the opportunity to combine a few things that will save them costs from engineers and that sort of thing. It goes in front of council tomorrow, if I understand it correctly. you know, and there are several other things that are on the horizon where they are pulling things together, because our city staff is lean. It is very lean. And I appreciate that, and I don't mind running a lean ship, believe me. Keeping overhead down is great. But it's a matter of allowing them to do that, and they are doing that, and they are presenting things, and as it needs to come to vote, they're presenting it to vote. So those are things in motion. They're not sitting on their hands doing things the way things always were done. And I think that goes, you know, I was in the city of Austin for a long time. Currently, my agency is in the city of Cedar Park. I've gone through, it took me 9 months to get a CO from the city of Cedar Park. I had the fire department out 4 times, and the rules changed every time they came. I get it. We do need to make sure that that permitting process is streamlined, and that the folks that are doing those approval processes know what they're looking for, and there's sort of a standard, so you don't feel like you're moving at a moving target. Have I got in there and looked at every one of them? No, I have not. But I feel like that is something that can be fairly easily streamlined, so that we can make sure that our companies are able to open on time in the way they want to. You know, there's a lot of variations that go into that, and I think sometimes there is misunderstandings that get in the way, and so that the things and the negativity that we hear when you actually track it down and figure out what actually happened, you know, it's like the game of gossip. You know, you track things through 10 or 12 people, and the message always comes back out differently on the other end. So I think we've got to stay away from making blanket phrases of it doesn't work and we don't have the capability and our staff isn't doing what they need to do, because I think in most cases they absolutely are. We just need to figure out when hiccups do happen, why did they happen, and is it an improvement that needs to be made? Is it something that just there was going to be a hiccup because of whatever the situation is? Provide an open format involving city government. I do think that we do have a lot of those processes in place now. We have the ability for people to come to city council meetings, like I said before. So I think it's a matter of getting everybody involved and pick your poison. Decide what interests you. You don't have to do everything, but pick what's important to you and get involved. Incentive programs for new businesses. You know, no, we don't have the A&D funds like some of the other cities do, but we do have some capabilities, and I know our economic development, I can't remember his exact title, director, does have a process that he goes through to make sure that as we are recruiting businesses to Leander, that we give them the opportunity and maybe give them a little break on some property taxes. But at the same time, he's done his research to make sure that we are able to recoup, and that those employers that are coming here are able to grow and do grow, and a lot of them grow. And the reality is even though we may be given a little bit of break on property tax, the deal is you know, half a zero is zero, right? So if nobody was in that spot to begin with, we weren't earning any money. If we give them a little break on the property taxes, that's more money we had in the coffers than we did before. So I think it's a matter of looking at those things and making sure that we are allowing our economic development staff and supporting that so that we can bring in those employers. We've brought in a lot, and we continue to grow. Now, there are smaller employers, so they're not big splashy things. But I grew up in a town where there were 2 major employers, major employers, and guess what? They moved. Now my hometown is a ghost town. So it really excites me a lot to see that 10, 20, 50 employer groups come in town, because if somebody leaves, then it's not as big of a shock. And I know one of the things that our economic development director looks for is they want people to own businesses. Our city staff is in conversations now with people that are tired of renting in Austin. They want to buy in Leander. I think that's awesome. And I think that's what we need to continue with. Water rates. You know, I come from a place where it is very, very wet. So when we went through a 7-year drought, I have to say I was a bit freaked out about it. And I know that our water rates are higher, but I really, knowing the fact that we pre-bought and got into these contracts early with the anticipation of growing, I'm kind of okay with that. Not to say that there isn't something that needs to be done, or I haven't looked at all the detail, but I like the fact that I know that I'm not gonna run out of water, and I'm not gonna have to have water trucked in because we don't have enough. So I probably have a little bit different viewpoint than most on that, but, you know, that's the way I feel about it. It's not that, and I'm willing to pay a little bit extra to know that I'm not gonna run out. So anyway, you know, again, I bring a different background. I bring a business background to this position. I feel like I've created a lot of relationships in my time working with different people around the city. And I'm excited about the opportunity to